everybody. I'm going to be covering Cacturne. So, some really great changes and reworks here. Cacturne, infamously garbage, okay? Thing had terrible stat distribution. Awful, slow mixed attacker with a terrible defensive typing. It was just bad, man. So, I gave it some incredible new tools, excuse me. So, most importantly, it does have access to Sand Rush, and it is no longer a mixed attacker, so it has actual bulk now. Not to mention, it is also a good amount quicker. I try to be logical with my buffs. I don't like just to like, okay, yeah, you might try to approach this from a very like literal point of view. Like, okay, well, Cacturne's bad. Why was it bad? Because it was slow. Okay, let's give it 100 speed. But I don't like that mentality at all. I think it's kind of lazy. I like to give buffs that feel unique and fitting and all that stuff. So there are 3 Grass Darks, I believe, in this hack. There is Shift Tree, Cacturne, and there's 1 new Grass Dark type. Let me quickly check my notes. And I also try to ensure that Pokemon don't overlap with one another, really. So let me just quickly check my notes. Grass Dark, come on. Pretty sure it's just these 3. Yeah, just these 3, and the 1 new one won't overlap really at all. You know, Shift Tree is not nearly as powerful as Cacturne. However, Shift Tree does have access to Ruthless and Versatility, so damage-wise it might be doing slightly more, but it doesn't have like the power of Sand Rush or Moxie, both of which have great sweeping capability. So yeah, I gave it 77 base speed, which is a very good speed tier. Actually, uninvested in the sand is pretty great. With 0 investment and a neutral nature, you still hit 380 speed, and that's with 0 investment or neutral nature. And 380 speed is obviously in competitive that's not that great because you have to outspeed Scarfers and stuff, but in game you don't really have to outspeed Scarfers very much, especially because I very rarely will give choice items to the opponent because it's very easy to exploit choice items on an AI because you can just force them into, like, they don't switch out. Choice items are good because you can switch out once you're in a bad spot. So I would only ever give choice items to like something with tinted lens, because then you can't resist their hits. And Scarf, even then, I'd rather just give them specs or something on a tinted lens mon, unless they're slow-ish. But regardless, now I lost my train of thought. Sorry. So 380 speed is very good. That outspeeds what, base 1? So that outspeeds a jolly base 124. 123. So you outspeed base 123's Pokemon without any investment. And then, of course, with any amount of min-maxing investment, you can outspeed literally anything in the hack. And the good thing is, you actually will have a lot of bulk left over. Sorry, a lot of EVs left over to put into your bulk. So Cacturne is a lot tankier now. I think that fits. It's a lot more soulful. He's a cactus. They have these sturdy bodies and the spikes and shit. So I think 107 base defense is another good way to make Cacturne pretty good. Yes, it does have a terrible defensive typing. It's just not great, especially because you are also 4 times weak to first impression now, which is a very common attacking move that most Pokemon have access to. However, you do have the Spiky Shield, which is good to counter your first impression. Not to mention, I give them a lot of other great defensive stuff, such as Strength Sap very early at 38. Most Pokemon, if they do give Strength Sap, usually get a little bit later. But 38 for Strength Sap is great on Cacturne. And that combined with like Leech Seed and Spiky Shield can make it unkillable, super tanky mon. And you can actually use that with stuff like Bulk Up and Moxie and get, with Drain Punch or something and really start snowballing out of control. I also gave them really good coverage moves, which I'll get into in a little bit, but you can see them all there, honestly. It has great Grass Dark Dual Stab combined with Fighting, Rock, and Ground and Poison coverage, all of which hit basically everything it needs to hit, and Bug. Fighting, and also Electric with Thunder Punch. Tons of incredible coverage moves, as you can see here. Close combat takedown, gunk shot, poison jab, all this awesome stuff. So yeah, you can self-set that Sandstorm, or you can use Sandstorm on one of your Sand Stream Pokemon. Either one works. Your Sandstream Pokemon will probably have access to Parting Shot or something, or you can just set up Sandstorm with another ally. Keep in mind, I did buff the Weather Rocks to last much longer, so that they're more viable in-game. Obviously, in competitive, it will be a little bit too long, but in-game, you get 10 turns. So, for example, if you click Smooth Rock Sandstorm on your ally, that's 10 turns full of sand, and then you can Parting Shot out, or you can Volt Switch or U-turn out. Most Pokemon get access to one of those 3 moves, and if they don't, you can always utilize the Infinite Use Eject button, which is now a really good utility option, and you can get your Cacturne in, get that Sand Rush speed, become incredibly fast, and again, like I said, you can actually afford to speed creep Pokemon, because say the fastest Pokemon on the opponent's team is 128 base speed. Okay, you throw in like 10 or 20 EVs into your speed, now you outspeed them. now you can pour the rest into your HP into your attack stat, or defense and attack stat, and that's great. And you can use that with bulk up, becomes super tanky, you know, that kind of thing. Moxie would probably just be running priority moves. You do have Sucker Punch and also Seed Shot and First Impression. All three of those are priority moves. Sucker Punch is obviously your best one. First Impression is good only on the first turn, and those are both TMs. And then you have Seed Shot at level 5. Just, you know, most Pokemon start up with a priority move or two, usually more. You also have Poison Dart for priority, which was nice for like fairies and stuff if you really need to hit those super effectively. A little bit of a niche move to keep the whole game, but you know, if you were like rare candying it up from your box for a specific fight, and they happen to have a fairy type or something that you needed to hit with Poison Dart, then go ahead and you know, keep Poison Dart. That's Poison type priority. Seed Shot is physical grass type priority. So those are both great options as well. Again, great coverage moves. Cacnea has a good attack stat and a solid base defense, and Sand Rush 47 base speed is pretty good for that point in the game, and it will evolve pretty early at 29. Yeah, tons of other great stuff. Also, for example, you can run, those utility sets are great. You know, you got Parting Shot. There's so many things it can do. It's a really good just sweeper in general with those abilities. You know, Sand Rush, Bulk Up, Sand Rush, Swords Dance, and then all those great coverage moves and whatnot. Bulk Up, Drain Punch, all that. Oh, you get a lot of great stuff. Okay, Strength Stab is huge. I would definitely recommend keeping Strength Stab for forever, because you can use that to set up really easily with Bulk Up. You know, Bulk Up, Strength Stab is insane. With or without Sand, you can use Bulk Up, Strength Stab, Moxie, plus Sucker Punch, for example. That would be great. Plus Drain Punch or something, you know, or whatever other. The last slot could be whatever coverage move you need, because you do have Seismic Fist and Stomping Tantrum for ground, Takedown and close combat, and all Drain Punch and stuff for fighting, U-turn, First Impression, and Lunge for bug, all this stuff. And again, keep in mind, you can find a link to all of these buffs and changes to moves and everything else in the description down below. Also, I didn't mention this yet, Cacnea is Grass Dark. I'm not gonna lie, I genuinely just assumed it was a Grass Dark type. I usually know a lot about Pokemon, like I'm extremely knowledgeable because I'm a fucking nerd, but for some reason I just thought it was Grass Dark, and that really bugged me that it wasn't, so it is now. If you have a problem with it, I don't know what to tell you. It's literally an NFE, it doesn't matter, just because it is bugging me. Same with mons like Cascoon and other like useless type changes, or, you know, relatively useless. Obviously it's still good, like especially if you can get the Pokemon early, you know, it'll be nice to have that stab option. And immunity to Psychic, those are both nice. Obviously you do get more weaknesses, but that's just fair. Yeah, tons of powerful stab moves. Also good utility, for example, Grass Whistle is 80% accurate and always sleeps the opponent for 2 turns, so you can use Grass Whistle plus Sand Rush or Moxie and set up really easily. You can get that guaranteed sleep. You can also use stuff like Endure, Reversal, Lychee Berry, Moxie. That would be great. Or sorry, Select Berry, Moxie, Endure, Reversal, Select Berry. You get that 200 base power Reversal plus Sucker Punch plus Drain Punch or Grass type move Stab or whatever coverage move you need. Again, keep in mind that in this ROM hack, you do have access to infinite use ability capsules and instant EV training. So you can and should be switching your EVs and TMs and abilities around. You know, you should be switching between your abilities. You shouldn't just be clicking one the whole game. It's really nice to have that versatility. And I gave every Pokemon like intentionally 2 good abilities. So yeah, I don't know what else to say here. It's just a really powerful offensive setup mon. Rototiller and Power Trip is great. 127 base attack in general. You can also just click like Choice Band, Sucker Punch with Moxie. That's great. You don't need anything else. You can literally just use that and just win a couple of fights. You know, you can clean up, you know, kill a couple Pokemon and then switch that, you know, Parting Shot your Cacturne in or whatever, hard switching on a Psychic move, whatever, take a resisted hit, and now you're just you're just clicking Moxie, Sucker Punch, and winning the rest of the battle. Again, those utility sets are great. You got that Strength Sap, Leech Seed, stat dropping moves such as Leer and Scary Face are great, and they're also buffed now. Leer drops both defensive stats. Scary Face is -1 attack, -2 speed. Confide is -1 to both special stats. All kinds of really cool buffs to those moves. You can check all those out in the description down below. The vast majority of moves are changed in some regard, so I would definitely consider checking that out in the description down below. Other stuff, Rototiller and Power Trip is a great combo. Also Bulk Up and Power Trip. So Rototiller essentially works like Swords Dance and Nasty Plot in one move. Obviously you're no longer a mixed attacker, however, it's still really useful to have that Rototiller because you get +4 to your stats, so you can use that with Power Trip. Rototiller plus Power Trip becomes 100 base power, and Power Trip is actually buffed to essentially be it essentially gives you a +1 attack boost each time you click it. However, it only has 3 PP, so that's immense. That's great. I only did that so you can't 6-0 trainer battles. You can only kill 3 Pokemon at most, which is very fair given how powerful that is with the attack boost effect, boosting it up each turn. Insane move right there with Rototiller. You can also use that with Bulk Up, Power Trip, Drain Punch, filler move, you know, whatever. There's so many different things you can do, okay? And then you, of course, late game, you just have powerful zap options. Payback is good on bulkier sets. It's a negative priority, 120 base power. Brutal Swing is 125 base power, dark type recoil move. Wicked Blow is Wicked Blow, just 90% accurate. Frenzy Plant, Twilight Cannon above 150 base power and drop your attack stat by 2. Twilight Cannon does use your higher attack stat, so in Cacturne's case, it's a physical move, or rather, it uses your physical attack stat. It's still a special move, I believe, technically, but yeah. I don't know what else to say. I think I covered everything. Great Pokemon. I mean, I would love to use one. It seems so fun. I fixed a lot of its terrible, glaring flaws while still keeping it within reason, because obviously it doesn't look like it's a fast Pokemon by nature. Sandrush obviously fits, given, you know, Sand Veil, it's a Scarecrow, it fits very well. I did opt to switch off Water Absorb because while Water Absorb is useful and cool, not better than Moxie on Cacturne for sure. Moxie is definitely more appreciated, even just for Sucker Punch spam. So, yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for listening. Probably a little bit of a briefer video, but honestly, that's just because the changes in buffs here are very straightforward. Lastly, I guess I can mention Stakeout for a second. Stakeout is great for trainers because Sandrush and Moxie aren't. I mean, that's still great abilities for trainers, but Stakeout is great because if you switch out on it, it does double damage, and that's really powerful with 127 base attack. So you cannot switch your Pokemon out versus the Cacturne when they have Stakeout. So that's definitely, and also I think it logically fits very well, given that it literally says here they're biding their time, waiting for their traveler to tire and become incapable of moving. So I think that's a very fitting ability flavor-wise. If there ever is a showdown server, I'll probably make those abilities legal, which would be kind of fun. Obviously, this is not designed for competitive use anyways. All of these changes would be absolutely fucking ridiculous and competitive and stupid. It would be fun, but it would be so ridiculous and hyper-offensive and just chaotic. This is balanced for in-game stuff. It's balanced for hardcore Nuzlocke and that kind of stuff. Because in-game I can actually counter everything a lot easier, and just overall, like, the fact that everything is good isn't broken because you get to use your favorite Pokemon and still be challenged, you know, that kind of thing. Not just your favorite Pokemon, but also just weird fucking Pokemon that were garbage before. So yeah, I think I covered everything here. So I'll leave it off there. Thank you very much for listening. There's probably a couple other little brief options I could talk about because I do put a lot of thought in, even to the little moves, like at what levels you get those. Like, for example, Sediment is very cool with Sandrush. It heals you by 2/3, which is good until you get Strength Sap. Obviously, you can always just teach Synthesis via Tutor. However, keep in mind, I believe Synthesis heals less on Sand. I could be wrong about that. Could be unchanged in Sand. But yeah, and of course you always get Strength Sap later on, which is just an incredible healing move for a Cacturne. It makes it a lot more viable as a tanky Pokemon. Not to mention, that defensive typing, while yes, you do have a lot of weaknesses, you also have a lot of resistances. You're resistant to Water, Electric, Grass, Ground, Ghost, and Dark. I mean, those are very good resists, so, you know, just don't use it on things that you're weak against. It's simple as that. I would say the most glaring issue is the fact that it's 4 times weak to First Impression, but again, if you're running in-game sets and you kept, well, first off, you can just Protect. But obviously Spiky Shield's even better because you get that chip damage, but obviously you can just Protect on the First Impression, or just don't use it against a Pokemon with First Impression. Obviously most physical attackers have that and it's a great move, but still, you know, just be smart with it, okay? 4 times weakness doesn't automatically make a Pokemon bad. I don't like when people think of changes that way, when they're just like, I don't know. People focus too much on weaknesses and less on resistances and other good, important capabilities, qualities that a typing has. For example, Dual Stab. Grass Dark is very good Dual Stab, so yeah. I'm gonna leave it off there though. I think I've talked long enough, so last thing, Finishing Blow is great with Sandrush and Moxie. Finishing Blow gives you +3 attack when you knock the opponent out with it, and it's 52.5 base power overall. It always crits, so that's including the critical hit, and that's great. That's incredible with Sandrush and Moxie. Works great with both abilities, so that's a great move as well. Yeah, I'll leave it off there. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Hopefully these changes are cool and satisfying for you. I know they are for me. I really like how he turned out. Super cool, Mon. Yeah, bye, everyone.